name's Joanna. I'm the Director of Education Outreach for the Housing Coalition, and I'm very excited today for our Lunch and Learn, where we're going to have an update from our state's 3 housing authorities. Before we do that, I'm going to let Amanda update everybody on the conference, and then we're going to hand it over to Maurice to moderate this discussion.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanna. Just a couple reminders. Hopefully everyone watching right now is aware that our 2024 Nevada Housing Conference is right around the corner, October 16th and 17th at the Nugget in Sparks, Nevada. We recently launched on Monday we updated our agenda. So I will share a link in the chat for that. You'll be able to see all of the speakers and special guests we have confirmed so far. Also, as a reminder, our registration rates are going to go up $50. So Monday, the 30th is the last day that you'll be able to purchase standard rates. So highly suggest if you're not registered that you do to save yourself $50. Registration in general is going to close Friday, October 11th. And lastly, the hotel deadline, the last day to book your room is next Tuesday. We have awesome rates at the Nugget, $79 a night, no resort fee. So if you would like to come hang out with the NHC team and all of the cool people attending the conference, I suggest you book at the Nugget and hang out with us. If you have any questions about registration, sponsorship, anything related to the conference, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you. And I will turn it back over to the rest of the team.
Maurice, I'll just let you take it away.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone being here today. Okay, got a little pop-up on my screen. I don't know what it was. But either way, we are excited for today's Lunch and Learn as we will bring to you our 3 housing authorities throughout the state. We have Reno Housing Authority. We have Deputy Director of the Reno Housing Authority, Miss Heidi McKendree. Did I say that correctly?
You got it right, Maurice.
All right, perfect. Then we have the Executive Director for the Nevada Rural Housing Authority, Mr. Bill Brewer. And finally, we have Mr. Frank Stafford, who is the Development Modernization Director for the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. So with that being said, they have some wonderful and great information that they would like to share with us. And so right at this point, let me go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Heidi and have her talk about the great work that the Reno Housing Authority is doing.
Great. Thank you, Maurice. Appreciate it. And wanted to thank the coalition for the opportunity to allow the housing authorities to really kind of tell everyone what we're doing, what's new, and the great projects that we're working on. So thank you for that opportunity. So as Maurice said, I'm Heidi McKendree, Deputy Executive Director here at the Reno Housing Authority. We can go ahead and pop that slide, Amanda. So today I'm gonna cover a few things that maybe everyone knows that we do, our public housing, our voucher programs. Also gonna cover some things related to our resident services programs. We're really proud of those programs. Also cover our development projects, because I think all 3 of us have a lot going on with the development world there. So we're going to try and cover a lot and give you guys a lot of information. One of the things really is that in Nevada, we have 3 housing authorities. We're only 3, but we are sure mighty. We do some great things. One of the unique things about the Reno Housing Authority is we are a HUD designated moving to work agency. So throughout the presentation, you'll hear me mention MTW, or moving to work. What moving to work does is give the housing authority some flexibilities in a couple of different areas. One is regulatory. We are able to request waivers from HUD to certain regulations. Not all of them that we would love to request waivers for, but it does allow us to do some kind of new and different innovative things and maybe streamline our processes a little bit. MTW also allows us some funding flexibilities. So the funding we do receive from HUD goes into one block grant, and we're able to use those funds to support both our public housing and our voucher program. So those things are different when you're an MTW agency. We've been an MTW agency since 2013. So it's been really exciting for us, and we've done a lot of new and innovative things. We'll switch the slide, Amanda. So first, I want to talk about our traditional housing program, so federal public housing. Most of you are probably familiar with the Federal Public Housing Program. RHA has roughly 750 units in total, over 8 complexes throughout Washoe County. This program, again, was created with the 1937 Affordable Housing Act. It's been in place for quite some time. What we've seen over the years, and we'll talk a little bit more later in the presentation about redevelopment of public housing. One of the things we've seen is some decreased funding over the years to support public housing, and some pretty consistent funding in the voucher program. So housing authorities with public housing are looking to redevelop in order to preserve their public housing units. So we'll talk a little bit more about the projects that we're currently doing related to redevelopment and conversion of our public housing. But for the time being, one of the interesting things probably that I don't know some folks know is that every resident or every public housing complex has a resident council. Those fall under our resident services programs. And so those resident councils really work with the housing authority to ensure that the complexes are getting the attention that they need, and it provides an opportunity for our tenants to talk to us directly and let us know the things that they need or that they would like to see. So resident councils are a great aspect to public housing, and we intend to continue doing some of those resident councils at complexes that don't even require it. We'll switch the slide, Amanda. The other traditional housing program that RHA runs is the Housing Choice Voucher Program and the Project-Based Voucher Program. So again, through rental subsidies, the Housing Authority assists over 3,000 households with vouchers. These participants are then able to lease in the open market with units that are near their family, friends, or close to medical care or schools. The Housing Authority has seen very little growth in the traditional Housing Choice Voucher Program. We've received roughly 30 new traditional Housing Choice vouchers over the last 10 to 15 years. But what we have seen from HUD is a strong investment in specialty vouchers or special purpose vouchers. So we've received over 600 special purpose vouchers over the last 15 years, and those vouchers serve special populations and target those who may not be traditionally served or predominantly served through the traditional Housing Choice Voucher Program. So we have seen growth in the Housing Choice Voucher Program, but it's been mostly related to special purpose vouchers. The VASH program, which you may have heard about, Veterans Assisted Supportive Housing, is the largest special purpose voucher program. We have 516 VASH vouchers. Those vouchers, we partner with the VA that provide wraparound services to our veterans, and the Housing Authority provides the housing subsidy. We also have foster youth vouchers, foster youth to independence or FYI vouchers. Those vouchers target youth that are aging out of the foster care system and without the supports that they would need, really need some help with some long-term permanent housing. We also have emergency housing vouchers, and we have 137 of those. Those target those that are homeless or facing homelessness. Those programs or those vouchers, we partner with community agencies that provide the wraparound services that are needed. So currently we work with our COC partners to ensure that those vouchers are utilized and that the clients who receive those vouchers have the services they need in order to maintain housing for the long term. Okay, we'll switch slides. RHA, like most housing authorities, does a whole lot more than just the traditional housing programs. Through different grant opportunities throughout the years, different opportunities related to downturns in the housing market, RHA has been able to expand its community benefit properties or other affordable housing options. And we offer currently over 520 apartments, duplexes, or single family homes and condos at rents that are below market rent. These properties don't receive any subsidy from HUD, but as part of RHA's mission to provide affordable housing to the community, We provide those rents at below market rate rent. So we're able to serve an additional 1,500 people through these other affordable housing options. And we'll go ahead and switch the slide. So RHA's resident services programs are kind of our hidden gem. These are the programs that really make us the most proud because they represent our board and our staff's commitment to our clients. The majority of our resident services programs are funded through RHA's business activities or our moving to work flexibilities. So with RHA's board commitment of the financial support that each one of these programs need, we're able to actually expand these programs and offer them to more of our participants. We rely heavily on our strong community partners. Without those, we couldn't run these programs, and we know that. Our staff provides these services to an entire spectrum of our residents, from our oldest residents down to our very youngest. Some of the programs that we provide through our resident services programs include programs for our youth. So our kids who receive either live in households that receive voucher subsidy or live in public housing have opportunities to go to Sierra Nevada Journeys Camp each year. Last year, I believe we had over 50 kids attend Sierra Nevada Journeys Camp. Another opportunity that our kids get is to participate in the junior ski program. We partner with Bobo's, the Mogul Mouse, that provides all of the equipment. Again, I think last year we had probably, 80 families participate in the junior ski program. And then we also partner with the Reno Bike Project to provide some spring break and fall break programming for our kids to get them out on the many bike trails in Washoe County. Our newest program for youth is our Start Smart program. We've been running this program for 3 years. It's through our MTW flexibility that we're able to offer this program. And so this gives our high school age kids life skills training and prepares them for post-graduation endeavors. So they receive financial literacy education, career exploration workshops, and the opportunity to earn cash incentives as they attend classes that further incentivize them to also bring their parents. So what we're trying to do is incentivize our kids to learn about financial literacy and bring their parents along so they can go home and continue that conversation at home. We also are able to, at the conclusion of the Start Smart program, when kids are graduating from high school, offer 3 separate $10,000 scholarships to 3 of our graduates. We are really excited to be able to offer that program and to see what our kids are going to do. We culminate in an end of year event, a big dinner and celebration for these kids to celebrate their achievements and really send them off with a bang. We think the Start Smart program is just going to continue to grow, and we're really excited about it and really happy the board has chosen to support the program financially. In addition, we have our workforce development program, which gives our families a pathway to increasing opportunities to achieve self-sufficiency. Our staff work with our families on setting goals to increase their education and expand their employment skills in order to increase their earning capacity. This is our traditional family self-sufficiency program, and through our MTW flexibilities, we've been able to build on that program and expand it even further. So we're really proud of our self-sufficiency programs. They work. We've seen them change lives. And so the continued support and the ability to grow those programs, I think, is one of RHA's biggest assets. Okay, we'll go ahead and switch slides. So the other thing, especially this last year, that we wanted to highlight was some of our partnerships and how we're really being active in the community and being proactive to try and make changes where we see they need to be made. RHA has been providing, or has provided funding for a tenancy support services coordinator for our emergency housing voucher holders. That position resides in Washoe County. And that person is tasked with assisting our EHV voucher holders with whatever they need in order to maintain that vital housing that they've had. These are participants who have come out of homelessness or risk of homelessness, and really without the services for tenancy support are at risk of homelessness again. So we've been happy to fund that position. We're really excited to be able to do things like that. The other is committing with the city of Reno to provide a service coordinator for their rapid rehousing pilot program. That's a program that's going to assist, again, homeless or those that are in the shelter who do have minimal income, whether it's a fixed income or low earnings, but to help them while they're on the wait list for RHA, move into a permanent housing situation with a subsidy from the city of Reno. Understanding that without the service coordination, we might lose track of some of these folks and they may not move through our wait lists and become successful in obtaining their long-term supportive housing. So we're happy to be able to provide that funding to the city of Reno. We've also committed to work with Washoe County for their Lease to Locals pilot program. That program will help up at the lake to hopefully initiate some landlords and initiate more units into the rental market up in an area, a tourist area where short-term rentals typically are where vacation rentals are being used, where landlords are choosing not to do a long-term lease, but instead to do a vacation rental or an Airbnb situation. So the Lease to Locals program will really incentivize landlords to hopefully enter into long-term leases and provide some more workforce housing up at Incline Village and Crystal Bay. We're also providing some funding and working in partnership with our local continuum of care to support and provide the licensing agreements for PadMission software. We really feel like having a dynamic database available for our clients as well as our COC partners who are trying to find units in the community. I think our low vacancy rates just make it really challenging for voucher holders to get out there and find units. They go off the market so quickly. PadMission really is that dynamic database that really can help these participants and these voucher holders find units quickly. Active database showing what units are on the market today and available today. We've also, for the last year, been administering the Emergency Rental Assistance Program for the City of Sparks. We're happy to do so, and that's been a really successful program. We've seen that that funding that was awarded through the last legislative session really be impactful in the City of Sparks, both for emergency rental assistance, but also their short-term subsidy to seniors who are struggling to pay their rent. Okay, we'll switch slides. Some of the other things that we're working on right now, so we've been busy, realizing one, we're going to create 2 501c3 entities in order to expand our funding opportunities for both our resident services programs and our development activities. We'll talk about development in a few minutes, but resident services being as RHA is a government agency, we often don't have the opportunity to apply for foundation funding and things like that. Realizing that if we're going to continue to grow our resident services programs, we're going to need to apply for that funding and have some alternative to RHA funding in order to support our programs. So the 501c3 will be critical in helping us be able to expand those resident services programs, in addition to expanding our opportunity for development funding as well. We have also contracted with 2 local organizations to provide emergency housing and eviction prevention to Washoe County residents that are not currently assisted by RHA. I think all 3 housing authorities can probably attest to, you know, we see people walk into our lobby who currently aren't assisted by RHA, but are struggling. They're having issues finding housing or affordable housing. And it's difficult to navigate out in the community those resources. And so instead of just sending them out on their own, we've got 2 contracted organizations where we can refer these folks. And those organizations will help walk them through the myriad of resources that are out there in order to help them get their specific need met while they wait for housing assistance through the Housing Authority. We've also chosen to expand our clients' access to us by providing 2 service kiosks. One is in the downtown Reno library, and then one is also in our lobby. These little guys look like Pac-Man machines to me, but they are great little service kiosks where our clients can, when our wait lists are open, apply for housing assistance. They can do their annual recertifications online through those kiosks. So really trying to make it more convenient for our clients to get to us and provide us with the information we need to do our jobs without too much disruption to their days and their schedules. RHA is also excited. We are exploring a direct rental assistance program in partnership with HUD and NYU. We're at the very beginning stages of exploring this direct rental assistance program and working with our partners, but we really feel like this might be an opportunity to provide some data to HUD that can alleviate some of the issues that we see with the voucher program, specifically related to lease up and possibly negative connotation to voucher holders. So we're excited about those opportunities as well. All right, we can switch the slide. All right, so I'm going to wrap up with development, and I've got a lot to say here, which I think all of us do. So we'll go ahead and switch the slide. So as I was mentioning earlier, with public housing and decreased funding over the years, housing authorities are having to get creative and figure out how we can preserve these public housing units because they're vital for all of our communities. So some of the endeavors that we're working toward right now and have been made available through the Home Meets Nevada initiative, as well as Washoe County Home Consortium, in being able to actively preserve these public housing units. So one of the projects we're working on right now is Silverado Manor. This is a 150 unit current public housing site, which we're doing a RAD Section 18 conversion with substantial rehab. Total budget for this project is roughly $73 million. We'll be using tax credits, bonds, HM&I funding, as well as RHA capital funds. We anticipate this project closing in October, and it'll be a phased project with estimate completion being January of 2027. Hawkview Apartments is another public housing conversion. It's currently a 99 unit public housing complex, soon to be a 199 unit LIHTC complex. So RHA is using Section 18 demolition and disposition to allow for full redevelopment of this site. Total budget is roughly $85 million. Again, we're using LIHTC bonds, HM&I, our RHA MTW flexibilities, as well as our capital funds, home funds, and National Housing Trust funds. We anticipate closing on this project in November, with demolition of the site happening closely thereafter, with construction starting right after demolition. All tenants right now have been permanently relocated from that site, and we estimate completion of that site complex in November of 2026. In addition to those repositioning projects, 3 of our housing complexes, public housing complexes, are going to receive some much needed capital improvements in order to preserve them for the next 50 years. So McGraw Court, in adjacent to Silver Sage Court, which is right next door to it, totaling 50 units, is going to receive moderate rehab. The total budget for that project is $7.4 million. The funding included for that was HM&I funds, home funds, RHA capital funds, and Nevada energy rebates. This is also a phased project. Site work has started and will begin construction after relocation in October of this year. We estimate this project to complete in October of 2025. 68 units at Stead Manor, also going to have substantial rehab. Again, HM&I funds, capital funds, and Nevada energy rebates. Again, a phased project. We're going to start temporary relocation in November and estimate beginning construction in December. Essex Manor is going to receive some much needed capital improvements, removing probably the swamp coolers and installing some mini splits. And then we'll switch the slide one more time. And then in addition to those public housing preservation projects, we have other projects that have recently completed or are under construction. Dick Scott Manor being recently completed, 12 units. We have 12 project-based VASH vouchers on those. We've got 12 veterans in the units already. Rail Yard Flats, we estimate to be leasing in November. That's 15 units. Carville Court, we're excited about. That will be 11 to 20 units of permanent supportive housing. So this would be RHA's first purpose-built permanent supportive housing project. And we're really excited about that one. We've also recently purchased some property on Reno Avenue in Midtown that we anticipate building at least 44 units of affordable housing. So in total, we're looking at about 200 million investment into Washoe County into affordable housing. All of these projects, if you've seen JD lately, you know he's a little bit haggard. He's been working hard, but he's doing a great job. The whole development team has been doing a phenomenal job with just kind of this mass rush of development. I'm going to go ahead, because I think I'm running a little bit long. I'm going to cut my last few slides short and just wrap up. But thank you again for the opportunity to go ahead and present to you guys today. And looking forward to hear what Bill and Frank have to say.
All right, thank you, Heidi. I appreciate it. Such phenomenal information. Great work that the Reno Housing Authority is doing. I know there's some questions that was entered into the chat, into the Q&A. We're going to hold off. We want to make sure that we can get all the presentations in, but I am jotting down all of the questions, and so we will go back and try to answer as many as we can towards the end of the presentations. So with that said, next up is Frank with the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. Frank, is all you.
Hey, greetings, everyone. My name is Frank Stafford. I'm the Director of Development and Modernization here at the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. And on behalf of our Executive Director, Lewis Jordan, who was not able to be with us today due to other business travels, I bring you greetings from the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. Next slide, please. So the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority, we're approaching 15 years. We were established back in January of 2010. And for just a little history, there were 3 housing authorities: the Las Vegas Housing Authority, the Housing Authority of Clark County, and the North Las Vegas Housing Authority. And there was state legislature that was enacted to combine those 3 housing authorities into one. And like I said, that occurred roughly 15 years ago. We have a 9-member board of commissioners, and those board of commissioners represent the city of North Las Vegas, the city of Henderson, the city of Las Vegas, and Clark County. And they're all, city council commissioners with 1 from each of the jurisdictions and 2 from Clark County. And then we balance that out with 4 residence commissioners, which is 1 from each of those jurisdictions. The agency has an annual budget of $296 million with roughly 251 budgeted positions. Next slide, please. So our housing portfolio, we have public and affordable housing, roughly over 4,000 units, 18 developments. And what's unique about this is that we have our traditional public housing, but we've been doing extensive repositioning where we did preservation work on about 10 of our public housing developments under the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, or RAD as we refer to it. And basically that's just taking our public housing units and overlaying those with project-based vouchers. But those properties also are able to operate independently. They can take on debt, for future preservation. And then we also have our affordable housing, which is non-aided housing where the rents are still maintained, lower AMIs, and we have roughly about 1,035 of those affordable housing units, part of this mix of 4,000 units. Next slide, please. The Housing Authority on our public as well as our RAD units has an outstanding supportive services department, and the coordinators are sort of split between our family units as well as our senior. One of the items I would really like to highlight on the family side of the Ross, it's a Ross grant that we have, is that there's a family self-sufficiency program. And this family self-sufficiency program is a program that allows residents to basically set goals that they may want to achieve with the long-term goal of being able to be self-sufficient and being able to move out of public housing. And in this program, we've had quite a few of those residents that have been able to meet their goals, including becoming homeowners and moving out the program completely. And on the senior side, there's also a lot of services that are being provided. One is transportation, making sure that the seniors can get to their medical appointments, maybe shopping that they need to do. They provide meals to the seniors. And also they assist with transition to residents that may not be able to live on their own and may have to go to assisted living communities. Next slide. One of our larger programs is the Housing Choice Voucher. And as you can see, we have close to 13,000 vouchers. But even though that's a large number, the last outreach we did for our waiting list, there were 27,000 applications that were received, and we were only able to select 10,000 of those 27,000 people. So there is a great need out there for additional vouchers to provide housing to individuals on our waiting list as well as throughout Southern Nevada. The current wait list has roughly 7,000 residents that are on it. And there's over 45,000 residents that are seeking housing. And 45,000 residents that are utilizing vouchers, and that would include all the family members that, are part of that. And the Housing Authority contributes roughly $155 million each year in landlord payments. So that's a extremely nice economic boost into the economy here in Southern Nevada. Next slide, please. To assist with the high demand of voucher-seeking tenants, the Housing Authority has established a landlord incentive program, and that program is set up to increase housing opportunities for those seeking vouchers within the Southern Nevada area. Next slide, please. Part of this landlord incentive program, as you can see, there's roughly 80,000 units that are needed to assist low-income families in the Southern Nevada area. And part of that, the problem a lot of times is that even though residents have vouchers, they're having struggles trying to locate units because we just don't have enough landlords within Southern Nevada to assist with that. So that was one of the thought process behind setting up this landlord incentive program. Next slide, please. Now, the way the program is set up, we have a loss mitigation that's part of the landlord incentive. And basically up to $2,500 per family will be paid to the owner once the family vacates, and this determined that there's damages that are beyond your normal wear and tear. So that kind of puts the landlords at ease of knowing that if the property, has excessive damage for whatever reason, the Housing Authority will at least kick in up to $2,500 for them to repair and hopefully bring another family into that unit. There's also a signing bonus that's part of that program. Each new landlord or existing that joins this program receive a signing bonus for that. And then they also provide a vacancy loss up to 1 month to that landlord while that unit is being repaired because of the damages that the loss mitigation kicked in to help. So that would also save them, save them money on the downtime they would have trying to rent that unit out to another resident. Since we've set this program up, there has been 63 new units that have been added and 28 new landlords. So the program is working quite well, considering it's only been around for a couple of years now. Next slide, please. Land development. This is always a key factor in trying to increase the amount of affordable housing that we have throughout the Las Vegas Valley. And the Housing Authority is always seeking to try to find ways where we can obtain additional land for development. Next slide. One of the key accomplishments that the Housing Authority received was the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant. Roughly 3 years ago, the Housing Authority had applied for a transformation grant from HUD on a Choice Neighborhood Choice Neighborhood Initiative Program, and that was received, and we basically started that planning in November 21, and we submitted the final application in November 23 that was accepted by HUD. But unlike a typical application, our executive director had the forethought to say, you know, let's just go on and apply for implementation, not wait until the next cycle. Let's do it now. So we, in a way, were wrapping up the transformation plan, but also starting the submittal for implementation grant. And I'm pleased to say that in July, we were awarded that implementation grant, total of $50 million for the Marble Manor development, which is going to be a 235 unit. It's currently a 235 unit public housing development. And the plan is that over an 8-year period, we will increase that to 627 units. All of the residents who are part of Marble Manor will be able to come back to the site, and they'll still be basically at their 30% AMI, but we'll also have a mix of project-based voucher units and basically would say higher AMI up to 80% AMI units on the market rate side. So it'd be a true mixed income, mixed development area. Next slide, please. In addition to the 50 million that we got for the Choice Neighborhood at Marble Manor, the Housing Authority also applied for a $3 million Job Plus grant. That was also awarded, and that will help the residents at Marble Manor, as well as several other public housing sites, to develop their job skills and help them become more sufficient. Moving on to our Home Means Nevada, as well as Clark County Community Housing Funds, which are all up over the ARPA program. We were blessed to receive up to $75 million in grant funding through those two programs. And we intend to either create new units and rehab, totaling 658 new units. Next slide, please. As I talked about earlier, you know, there's always a need for land. And the Housing Authority, we had 50 acres of public housing land available to us. And that also includes some BLM land. Currently, with our new developments, we're developing on 25 of those acres. And the total impact was going to be roughly $400+ million in construction costs to do those units. Next slide, please. This slide here is more of a breakout showing our future as well as current development plans. And as you can see, we've been pretty busy here over the last couple of years. Those first two at the top, Jamestown Towers and Pelham Homes, is a 259 total units. Those were our public housing units that we were converting over to RAD. So it's a preservation project. But what's unique about the Jamestown Towers, typically on our RADs, you know, you're getting what's considered just your general RAD rents. But Jamestown Tower, we applied for a Section 18 RAD blend, and 120 of those units will be receiving housing choice voucher rents, and the others will receive RAD. So that will help that property, you know, economically, and help it be self-sustaining for long term. The Janice Brooks Bay, Bennett Plaza, Janice Brooks Bay is one of our Home Means Nevada. It's 100 units. That was one of the properties I indicated that's part of our affordable, which means that it was not receiving any type of funds from HUD. So that project with the Home Means Nevada, we'll be able to basically modernize it, and it'll be preserved for another 25 to 50 years or so. We have Bennett Plaza, Duncan and Edwards, 28th and Sunrise, and the Old Rose Gardens, which were all vacant parcels, and we received funding to develop those. The Bennett Plaza, we're going to create 59 units with a senior preference. Between Duncan and Edwards and 28th and Sunrise, that's going to be an additional 220 units. And Rose Gardens will be an additional 192 units. Rose Gardens will also have a senior preference designated to it. We work with other jurisdictions like the city of North Las Vegas, utilizing home funds, and took some of our old affordable scatter site units that didn't have funding available, and we were able to rehab 2 houses, and not only rehab them, we were able to put Section 8 vouchers on top of those. And as I mentioned, the Model Manor C&I that we got, and then Arthur Sartini Plaza is another senior development building that we're looking to do some major rehab work for sustainability. Next slide. Okay, so that pretty much summarizes some of the things we're doing here at the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority. And as I said, the goal is always to provide safe, sustaining, affordable housing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Frank. Man, our housing authorities are extremely busy and are doing some incredible work. And so, but last but not least, Mr. Bill Brewer, who's the Executive Director of the Nevada Rural Housing Authority, past chair for the Nevada Housing Coalition. And so thank you, Bill, for being here, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate this opportunity to visit with everyone. Go ahead and move the slide up, Amanda. Thank you. With Nevada Rural Housing, our mission is central to everything we do. We find that a lot of organizations put their mission on their website, and that's about all they do with it. And we address ours on a regular basis here in our shop so that every decision we make really keeps us focused on the mission, which is to promote, provide, and finance affordable housing opportunities for all rural Nevadans. Next slide. We were created in 1973 by the Nevada legislature. Most housing authorities were created by local governments to serve their constituency, and that's really the root beginnings of both the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority and the Washoe or Reno Housing Authority. Ours was created by the state because most of our rural communities really didn't have enough horsepower to support a housing authority or to fully utilize one. And so we were created to serve all of rural Nevada under various legislation that has occurred since that time. Our mission has widened a little bit. We serve all of rural Nevada, meaning every part of Nevada. And we serve all of Nevada's 15 rural counties and the rural portions of Clark and Washoe counties. That doesn't mean we administer vouchers in Clark and Washoe counties, but it does mean that we can do our other programs there if needed in the rural areas. So we cover a lot of area. Next slide, Amanda. So we have four basic, I will say, revenue producing programs that we administer through the Housing Authority. One is rental assistance. Of course, Frank and Heidi have both discussed that very well. You're well acquainted with what Section 8 does. We have about 1,200 vouchers that we administer throughout rural Nevada. That's not as many vouchers as other people, but I can tell you we cover a lot more miles with ours, about 110,000 square miles of Nevada. And so that gets to be a bit of a challenge when you have one voucher in someplace like Hico, Nevada, and we've got to take care of that client just as well as we do people right here in Carson City. So we make an extra effort to do that. 2/3 of our voucher holders, and I think that this number is similar for the other housing authorities as well. 2/3 of our housing authority recipients are elderly or disabled. So a lot of the complaining that folks do about people on government assistance and that kind of thing just really is unfounded, where 2/3 of our voucher holders are folks that really are unable to work or engage in the workplace. We have a number of challenges, just as has been mentioned, with the number of available units, and so that's a hill that we're still trying to climb. We've, as the other housing authorities, we've engaged a new landlord engagement program to try to bring new landlords into the fold and to help them repair their units that may be damaged by a voucher holder. So this is going to help us, I hope, get more of our vouchers leased up. In addition, we have an affordable home ownership program that helps people get into their first house. with a down payment assistance and a good mortgage rate. Our program that we're really proud of right now is the mortgage revenue program we're calling Launchpad. Comes with a very good interest rate at 6.17% and a 4% down payment assistance along with that. So very exciting, and we're really helping some folks get into housing in rural Nevada. We recently wrapped up a couple of programs with Home Means Nevada funding through the state and a buy and Nye program using Nye County funds for that down payment assistance, and those are very successful as well. Home ownership is facing some real challenges right now with very limited housing stock, rising prices, of course, and then rising interest rates on top of that. And we're seeing interest rates ease up a little bit, but not as much as we need to get people into these very expensive homes. So we continue to work on that, and hopefully we can continue to serve that end of the housing spectrum. We like to think of housing as a spectrum from homelessness all the way through home ownership and all of the housing types in between, and we make an effort to serve all of that. We also have a weatherization and home repair program. We administer a number of grant programs that serves the weatherization effort in 4 counties in northwestern Nevada, as well as northern Clark County, and really is a great program to help folks who are low income, who own their own place, to make it more efficient and reduce costs for them and reduce the utility usage. It's a great program. Next slide, Amanda. Development real estate operations is our 4th pillar. As the other housing authorities, we do a lot of ground up work and rehabilitation, preservation throughout the state. We have 13 different properties throughout rural Nevada, with a couple in process right now. About 729 units under our umbrella, and almost all of those tenants are very low income, under 50%, and many are even lower than that. We have properties throughout rural Nevada. We're just wrapping one up in Mesquite. We're starting a new project in Pioche, 32 units there. So when we talk about rural, we really are rural. Okay, next slide, Amanda. Here's some of the investment that we've made and some of the numbers that come out of all of this effort. And so it's been, it's kind of fun to see that. Rental assistance is, of course, that's an annual type number, but tax credits are a total. Our mortgage credit certificate program serves a lot of folks, and our families are able to save $45 million through their mortgage interest through the mortgage credit program. So it's a great program as well. We also manage most of our own properties, and so that's another service we provide in rural Nevada. Then next, Amanda, big list here. I won't try to go through all of that. But the first couple of dates are good to know. We were created in 1973 by the state. 1975, the state cut us loose and said, you're on your own. We became our own local governmental agency with a governing board that's appointed by NACO and the League of Cities. And so we've been independent since that time and not supported by any state funding. We have to make our own money to survive. And so we've done that through a lot of those things that are listed there. And next slide, Amanda. Feel free to give us a holler if we can ever provide any information or be of service to any of you. We'd appreciate the opportunity to do that. And with that, Maurice, I'll throw it back to you.
All right, excellent. Thank you all three for the presentations today. Such phenomenal information. I know we're running over a little bit, but I just want to, we had about 6-7 questions that entered the chat. And so I want to jump to those, at least get a few different questions answered. But what we can do, just remember this is being recorded. Slides will be sent out within the next day or so. And what I can do is send the questions out to our panelists, get their responses, and we can include that to those who are all in attendance for today's meeting. But like I said, I want to at least get to a couple of the questions that was in there, just so that we're not ignoring anything. The first question, I'll throw it to you, Heidi. This was the very first question, and that question was from William McCauley. Are there differing timeframes or money amounts for the two different kinds of vouchers?
Oh, for the project-based versus the housing choice.
Correct.
So interestingly, and I think this is probably a good point to make, is that the two vouchers are very similar. There are some minor regulatory differences. The main difference is that a project-based voucher sits directly on the unit, whereas the tenant-based vouchers resides with the tenant. And so the tenant is able to move with the housing choice versus project-based vouchers, the voucher stays with the project. They're very similar in the subsidy, nothing changes in that aspect. But one thing to note is that housing authorities, if they are awarding project-based vouchers, they don't receive a new award of vouchers in order to project-based. They have to take from their housing choice voucher stock and convert it to a project-based voucher. So we don't get new vouchers if we're going to project-based. We're simply reducing the number of housing choice vouchers we have available for the community. So that's something that I don't know is commonly known about project-based vouchers.
Excellent. And then I'll throw this next one over to Frank. What happens to the family who damages the unit when referencing your landlord engagement program?
Well, anytime, and the same as in public housing, if a family damages a unit, then those charges are being assessed to that family. And if they don't pay them, then it prevents them from moving into another public housing development. So there is a cost that's associated to that family that they have to pay back to the authority.
Excellent. And then Bill, there was a question that stated, why must people have lived in their residence for 2 years before being eligible for the Rural Housing Authority's rental assistance program?
Well, that's an unfortunate problem with our waiting list, as we all three discussed the number of vouchers we have and the size of our waiting list, but I didn't mention ours specifically, but we just purged our waiting list to see people who are no longer interested, and we still have about 700 people on our waiting list, and we're able to turn over about 200 or 300 vouchers every year. And so you can see with that turnover, in other words, people moving off the program and people who are interested in getting on, there's a waiting time, and we choose those people off the waiting list at a random basis. And it's unfortunate, but folks have to wait that out. We don't have enough vouchers to shorten up the time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We had a few more questions, but again, I'm just looking at time. I want to be considerate of everyone's time frame. But and now as we start to wrap up, it is with great sadness that I announced that Joanna will no longer be a part of the Nevada Housing Coalition. She has accepted a position with another organization, and I'll let her decide if she wants to make that announcement. But I want to truly say, in the year that I have been with the coalition, you have been a tremendous asset. I will miss you dearly. You have definitely, helped me and supported me and get me through this first year. And so we thank you, and on behalf of Amanda and myself, we're going to miss you tremendously. Again, you were probably the heartbeat, in a lot of aspects as to why the coalition is at today where it's at today. And so we just want to say thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to the coalition. And I'll leave the final words to you, Joanna.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Maurice. That's such a kind thing to say. Sorry, it's like my nightmare to cry on the internet. I will say this has been the hardest decision for me to make, to leave the coalition. It is by far my dream job, best job I've ever had. And it was a very difficult choice. But this will be my final lunch and learn. I've been offered a very exciting opportunity. And Friday will be my last day at the coalition. But I really love the work that the coalition does. I really believe in it and all the work we do together. both as a team with Maurice and Amanda, but also with our members and partners, everyone who's on these calls monthly, everyone I've collaborated with and connected with these last 2.5 years. I've been really lucky to support all the work that you do and vice versa. And the great news is that I will just be across the way, metaphorically, at the housing division. So I'll be continuing work in the housing space. I'll be very engaged with the coalition as a member. And you will probably see me just as often as you do now. And I won't lose that kind of busybody attitude where I'm always emailing and calling and asking you questions a million times a day. So know that we'll still be in very close contact. But it is very difficult to leave, especially Amanda and Maurice, who make a tremendous team, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done together and all the support we provide each other. And I know that they will continue their incredible work, bringing us all together to develop and advocate for solutions. And I really look forward to continuing working on advancing affordable housing with all of you. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great day.
All right. Thank you all to our panelists. Thank you to the housing authorities. Tremendous work. We will see y'all next year in 2025. This is our last Lunch and Learn of the year. And so we will be resetting and organizing and getting things ready for 2025. So we look forward to seeing you then. Take care.
Yes,
Best
I'll
of
see you at
luck
the conference.
with everyone. Definitely. Bye-bye now.